Spider-Man Homecoming. Finally, a Spider-Man movie in the MCU, guys. A lot of us dreamed of this happening, and it finally did. And it's out today in theaters. But was it worth the wait? Kind of. So Spider-Man Homecoming. The cast consists of Tom Holland, Michael Keaton, Jacob Batalon, Laura Harrier, Zendaya. You also have Marisa Tomei and returning MCU members Jon Favreau and Robert Downey Jr. And like I was saying, guys, this movie's been hyped up for a while now, ever since we found out that finally Sony was letting Spider-Man be in the MCU, and everybody wanted that after Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. And he first made his appearance in Captain America Civil War, and everybody loved that. He had a little small part, but everybody loved it and was looking forward to Spider-Man Homecoming. And I was too, but until I saw the trailers. Check it out.
What if somebody had died?
I was just trying to be like you.
I wanted you to be better. I'm gonna need the suit back.
But I'm nothing without this suit.
If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it.
I screwed up.
You need to stop carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders.
I want you to understand. I'll do anything to protect my family. I know you know what I'm talking about.
As you can probably tell from that little clip, guys, the trailers show a little bit too much in my opinion, and I like going into movies with knowing a little bit to nothing at all, and the trailer kind of ruined it for me, so my expectations were a little bit, lower than everybody else's. But with that being said, guys, let's get into the review and let's start off with my negatives. So with this first negative, guys, I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for it, as I already am, because I said I wasn't that excited for Spider-Man Homecoming. But this movie has something that I like to call the MCU effect. And obviously because this movie takes place within the MCU. And what that means is that this movie is nothing but a fun time at the movies. It's entertaining, it has comedy, has action, but that's really all it offers. And I started to notice that a while ago, and it's kind of been bothering me since, with great movies like Logan and even Wonder Woman that kind of dive into the character. These movies don't really do that. They just focus on the superhero. And that's not, I'm not saying that's a complete negative. That's not a bad thing. But we've been shown before that superhero movies can be more than just superhero movies. That they can dive into these characters and their struggles. And with these past Spider-Man films that I've reviewed, you see that. And again, this movie does have that MCU effect where it was fun, it was entertaining, it was hilarious. But that was basically it. With that being said, guys, and without any spoilers, this movie kind of just focuses on Spider-Man. Peter Parker becomes a secondary character, and you do see some of his struggles and stuff like that. But for me, at least, it's like he's more focused on being Spider-Man. He does have those moments, like in the original trilogy, where it's like, man, I really want to live my normal life or whatever. I really want to go to Homecoming, stuff like that. But I have to be Spider-Man. But it's quickly brushed off. It's not really a main topic for the movie or the scenes. It's just like, okay, man, that sucks. Okay, let's go be Spider-Man, And I feel like it was just focusing too much on Spider-Man. I would have loved to see Peter, and especially this incarnation of Peter Parker, and a little bit more of his struggles, and just dive into that character a little bit more, like who is Spider-Man, who's underneath the mask. And I do have a few more negatives, guys, but I can't dive into them without spoiling the movie, so stay tuned for my Spider-Man Homecoming spoilers review coming out in the next few days. And now, yes, I really like this movie and I do have a lot of positives for it, so let's get into those. And first off, I had to mention Tom Holland. I feel like he did a great job portraying Spider-Man, and I know I said that Peter Parker was kind of a secondary character, but with that being said, Spider-Man was a primary character, and I feel like they did a great job with him, of like him trying to be a hero and his sensibilities and stuff like that, and him pushing his strengths and stuff like that, and the comedic timing of Spider-Man and stuff like that. Him trying to lean to a wall before he talks to the bad guys and stuff like that. That was really cool to see those characteristics. And speaking of that, I was very impressed with Tom Holland's ability to bring his own unique Spider-Man and his take on the character to the big screen without having a carbon copy of like Tobey Maguire's or Andrew Garfield's portrayal of the characters. He did a great job, and so Tom Holland, you're a pretty cool Spider-Man. With that being said, guys, I really enjoyed the acting overall. Everybody from like Jacob Batalon, Zendaya was really good. She had some good comedic moments. We have returning members, Jon Favreau and Robert Downey Jr. I really like them in this as well. And Marisa Tomei was really good as Aunt May as well. So the acting overall was pretty good. Jumping off of that, I have to mention this as one of my positives. Michael Keaton. I was so worried that he was just going to be one of those other MCU villains and stuff like that don't get really a lot of screen time and they're just there to be the villain. But I felt like he was given enough screen time and enough like backstory and stuff like that to at least, you know, kind of sympathize with the character a little bit. Overall, he was the villain and stuff like that, but I feel like he was one of the better MCU villains. And speaking of villains, you can't have villains without action, and I felt like the action was really good in this movie. They didn't really dive into a lot of like doing different stuff with Spider-Man's character and his powers and stuff like that, and like doing different things cinematically. Like I feel like the Amazing Spider-Man did really well. They did dive into like, you know, his suit doing different things and stuff like that. That was pretty cool, but the action overall was cool, but nothing groundbreaking, but I thought it worked for the movie. So like I was saying, Zendaya really had a lot of comedic moments, and this movie was funny overall. Of course, when Spider-Man, you know, he's in the suit and stuff like that, he has like a lot of one-liners and stuff. But also outside of that, his relationship with Ned was really funny. Even some back and forth with Aunt May, and especially with Tony and Happy Hogan. I felt like the back and forth between them worked really good. And speaking of that, I'm going to talk about the relationship between Tony and Peter. Going into this movie, I was scared because I felt like this was going to be Iron Man 4. You know, we saw Iron Man a lot in the trailers and in the promotional art and stuff like that in the posters. So I was like, man, are they really going to overshadow Spider-Man in his own film? But I'm glad to say they don't. Like I was saying in the last part, I really liked that relationship, that father-son type of relationship between Tony and Peter. I thought that was really done well. And something we haven't seen before for both of these characters. So overall, I really liked the movie, guys, and the negatives weren't that big or significant for me to give this movie a different score. And it's kind of a problem that I have with MCU, and so it's not the movie's fault. So with that being said, guys, I have to give Spider-Man Homecoming a 7.5 out of 10. I really had a good time at the movies, and frankly, that's all that matters. So let me know your thoughts on the movie in the comment section down below. And if you guys haven't checked out my original trilogy reviews for Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3, I'm going to have links to those in the description down below and also at the end of this video. And you guys can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at The Real Talk, Talk with 2Ks. And as always, I'll see you at the movies. Later, guys.
Just don't do anything stupid.
I got this.
All right?
Yeah.